how is it the case that inflation is not all Vladimir Putin's fault?
Well, listen, I will say on this issue, like so many others, the White House has been nothing short of incoherent. As I count them, there are 5 shifting explanations they've had for inflation. So the first explanation they had a year ago is they said there is no inflation, doesn't exist. Janet Yellen, actually, I think it was March of last year, almost exactly a year ago, said, there is no inflation. I'd be highly surprised if there was inflation. It just doesn't exist. Pay no attention to your lying eyes. Those numbers going up in front of you, they don't exist. That didn't last very long. Then explanation number 2 is they said, okay, there's inflation, but it's transitory. It's just briefly here for a moment. You know, I sat down, I had a coffee with several other senators and Jay Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve. And at the time, we pressed him on inflation, and this was spring of last year, and that was Jay Powell's answer. It's transitory. It's going to be here for a minute. So yeah, prices are up, but we're not worried about it. It's going to go away. Mm-hmm. And we were like, well, baloney. Then the third explanation, they get progressively more asinine. So if there's a asininity meter, I don't know, is that what you would call it, an asininity meter?
I believe there's an asininity scale, yeah.
So it climbs the asininity. So it doesn't exist, transitory, that's 2. Number 3 was Ron Klain saying it's a high-class problem.
Yes.
Yes, it exists.
Right.
We're not saying it's transitory, but it's high class. Mm-hmm. It's just the people eating Grey Poupon who are worried about it. It's not regular Americans, you know, it's just rich guys, which is a weird explanation because it's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
Rich guys don't care. You know, the gazillionaires, the people who run the Democratic Party now, the Silicon Valley billionaires, what difference does it make to them? John Kerry, when he flies in his private jet all over the world, he doesn't care on prices. He's got more money than he knows what to do with. It's the seniors on a fixed income who care about it. So high-class problem was really an asinine explanation. But then they managed to beat it. And explanation number 4, they said, yes, inflation exists. It's not transitory. It's not high class anymore. Everyone's facing it. But explanation number 4 is inflation is a good thing. It's a sign of just how good the economy is. Hot diggity damn, we're just booming, and inflation, you ought to pop a champagne. Of course, you can't afford a bottle of champagne, but if you could afford a bottle of champagne, pop the cork and celebrate.
Maybe a can of beer.
One beer. You could pop a beer and celebrate because it is so good that you ought to be thrilled.
It's not happening, and it's good that it is. Right.
Yes. That was explanation number 4. Now, at this point right now, the polling shows inflation as the number 1 concern of Americans. I just saw that polling today. So the Biden White House is like, oh, crap, this is a problem. And so explanation number 5 is Putin did it.
Yeah.
And that is, and they are pushing this through every outlet of propaganda, which means, number 1, the corporate media. And the corporate media is shilling. CNN is, Brian Stelter was saying, Putin is causing the inflation. You might think it's Joe Biden, but no. It's Vladimir Putin. And as you noted, these clowns got these TikTok influencers to push the story that all the inflation you see, it's Putin. And unfortunately, these TikTok influencers are more than happy to just yap these talking points. They presumably don't understand what they're... Okay, one of 2 things is the case. Either they don't understand what they're saying, or they do understand and they're deliberately lying because the talking points are absurd. Inflation has been rising. Just last month, it was 7.9%, the highest in 40 years. Steve Ratner, who was the top economic advisor for Obama in the White House, Steve Ratner tweeted out, said, look, these inflation numbers are before the invasion in Ukraine, and they have, the Ukraine number, Russia has very little to do with this. This is Biden's inflation. He needs to own it. Now, when you got Obama's economic advisor saying this is Biden's inflation, that's pretty compelling.